My sister announced my pregnancy at my wedding reception, so I announced her divorce at her baby shower. She grabbed the microphone during my best friend's toast and told everyone I was expecting before I had the chance to share it myself. The wedding was supposed to be perfect. We'd spent over a year planning every detail, and I'd specifically told my immediate family that we wanted to wait until after the honeymoon to share our news. I was only 8 weeks along and feeling cautious about telling people too early. My sister Lila knew this because I'd confided in her just 2 days before when she cornered me about why I wasn't drinking at the rehearsal dinner. Everything was going beautifully until the reception. My best friend Alani was halfway through her maid of honor speech when Lila stood up from her seat and walked straight to the front. She took the microphone right out of Alani's hand and said, "Before we continue, I have the most amazing news to share. The bride is pregnant." The room erupted in chaos. Half the guests started cheering while the other half looked confused and uncomfortable. My husband grabbed my hand under the table and squeezed it hard. His family looked mortified. This wasn't the first time Lila had done something like this. She'd announced her engagement at our cousin Kelly's graduation party 2 years ago, claiming she couldn't contain her joy. Lila stood there beaming and soaking up all the attention. She went on about how she was going to be the best aunt ever and how she couldn't keep such wonderful news to herself. The photographer was snapping pictures of my shocked face while relatives started coming up to congratulate us. I pulled Lila aside during the cocktail hour and told her how upset I was. She rolled her eyes and said I was being dramatic. I was adding joy to joy. "You should be thanking me for making your wedding even more special." When I explained that we wanted to wait because of potential complications, she waved her hand dismissively and said I worried too much. My parents took her side and told me I was being too sensitive. My mom actually said, "She was just excited for you, sweetie." The worst part was dealing with morning sickness during our honeymoon while fielding congratulations messages from distant relatives. Lila posted all over social media about being an aunt and tagged me in everything. What should have been 2 weeks of romantic bliss turned into me crying in hotel bathrooms and my husband having to explain to his conservative grandmother why we'd hidden the pregnancy. 3 months later, I started noticing things were off with Lila. Her husband Eduardo hadn't been to any family dinners in weeks, and she always had some excuse about him working late. When I asked her directly if everything was okay, she changed the subject and started talking about baby names. My cousin Olive, who works at the courthouse, let it slip one day that she'd seen divorce papers filed under Eduardo's name. He'd filed just 2 weeks after my wedding. Olive mentioned she'd also spotted Eduardo at lunch with that receptionist from his office, the blonde one Lila was always paranoid about. They looked pretty cozy, Olive had whispered before making me promise not to say anything. I watched Lila over the next few weeks. She'd post photos of her perfect life while wearing her wedding ring on the wrong hand. She announced her pregnancy to the family with this big production, complete with a photo shoot and custom announcement cards. She scheduled her baby shower for 6 weeks later and went all out with the planning. The day of her shower, I played the perfect supportive sister. I showed up early to help set up, brought an expensive gift, and participated in all the games. Lila made little passive-aggressive comments throughout the day about how I probably couldn't handle seeing all the baby stuff since I'd been so weird about my own pregnancy announcement. When it came time to open gifts, Lila stood up to make a speech about new beginnings and doing things on her own terms. That's when I knew it was my moment. I stood up and raised my champagne glass. I'd like to make a toast to my sister and all her new beginnings. Speaking of which, let's also raise a glass to celebrate your divorce being finalized last week. Since you believe in adding joy to joy and sharing everyone's important news, I thought everyone should know that Eduardo already has a new girlfriend. I heard she's that receptionist from his office, the one you were always worried about. The room went completely silent. Lila's face drained of all color and her mouth hung open. Her friends started whispering while our relatives sat there in stunned silence. Lila finally found her voice and screamed that I was a horrible person who'd betrayed her trust. I calmly replied, "Now you know exactly how it feels to have someone hijack your special moment and announce your private business without permission." She ran out of her own baby shower sobbing while her friends chased after her. Our parents sat there unable to defend her this time because the parallel was too obvious to ignore. Lila hasn't spoken to me since, but at least she finally understands why you don't steal someone else's moment.